Five, four, three, two, one, zero. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
So, all right, everyone, welcome in today for a special Mother's Day recording of Southern Drawl Dialogue. We have Blane Howard here with us. He's a three-time Arkansas CMA Male Vocalist of the Year award winner. He's open for the likes of Blake Shelton. Who else? We got Justin Moore, Joe Nichols, Trace Atkins, you name it. He has a song, Promise to Love Her, that you've probably heard. I listen on Spotify usually, but I checked it just before I got on, and it has over, 24 million listens on Spotify alone, not counting everything, right? So
yeah, I think across all platforms, it's got over 150 million, which is awesome.
That's wild, man. That's gotta feel good.
It does. It's crazy. The song is like 6 years old now, so it's slowed down a little bit, but it's always nice to see, a couple million trickling in here and there on Spotify and Apple Music and all that.
Oh yeah. And that's one, there's certain songs that you can take the old lady to and go two-stepping that just never get old, and especially one like that. If you listen to it and you got the words and everything in your head, it's a good one to definitely to dance with the wife to, or something like that, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And it's actually, I wrote it for my wife as a wedding gift. Surprised her with it on the morning of our wedding, and she loved it so much that we used it as our first dance. And so we, got to surprise our entire reception with it, and it's just been awesome to watch it take off, man. It's something that I didn't even want to put it out as a single. I was like, no, this is something that's very personal. And then I think within like 2 weeks, or maybe even a week, we were like on our honeymoon, and someone heard a 30-second clip of it on Facebook or something. And they were like emailing in, oh my gosh, can we use this at our wedding this weekend? So I had to scroll on my phone while I'm in the Caribbean trying to send it to them. But yeah, so that was the point. I was like, okay, maybe people actually are digging this. So yeah, it's been awesome to watch it take off.
Yeah, man, I think, stuff is real like that anyways, there was a lot of meaning behind it. It wasn't just wrote just for somebody with a good voice to get out there and put it out. You did all of the above, so I think that resonates with listeners pretty well.
Yeah, the personal stuff, even, a lot of, sometimes as songwriters, we're storytellers, and you embellish a little bit. And in that case, I wasn't, and a lot of the songs you may embellish a little bit, but you'll be amazed how many of those things, so many listeners felt in their life. It's a real feeling that they also share, and you put something real into a song, it's amazing how many people respond to it and say they felt the same thing.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, and that's always a good. Yeah, that's always a song that really hits you there, and then you lock onto it. I mean, if you didn't already have it locked down in the bag, for the wedding day, you throw that song out there, and you're smooth sailing. Huh?
Yeah, a couple of my friends that were getting married soon after me were not happy. Like now we've got to go try to write a song for our wives or something. So.
Oh yeah, man, yeah. Can't even hide it either because everybody's there for the day.
Right.
Hey, well, good for you, man. So I kind of want to get into, so we're both from Arkansas, so I want to get into that. But first I want to ask you about your family. I know you have a kid, but do you have the kids you have, and how old?
Yeah, I've got my wife and I, Megan. We've been married 7 years, and we've got 2 little girls. They both just had celebrated birthdays in the last month or so. Olivia just turned 4 a few weeks ago, and our daughter Sutton just turned 1 this week, actually. So we've got a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, and they are all over the place, full speed, nonstop. So it's great. We love them so much. It's crazy trying to you love them. You spend so much time with them, but you also need time to be able to do work and all that. So trying to figure out childcare and all that stuff is always really interesting. But you're glad they're in childcare, and then as soon as they get home, you miss them so much. You're so happy to spend so much time with them. But if they didn't have that, you wouldn't be able to, work and provide for them and all that stuff too. So yeah.
Yeah, I know. I feel you on that. And I have a 1 and a 4-year-old myself, both
man.
girls. And so I feel you. It keeps you on your toes, keeps you busy. They all have their own personalities. I got a couple that are pretty honoring, one that's always sweet. Yeah, I imagine with you too, because you're probably having to be on the road a lot, things like that. So it's probably tough. Are you able to take them when you do hit the road and stuff? Do you take them sometimes, or is it just too tough at that age?
Not very often. Yeah, I've done a couple of like Christmas shows and Christmas tours in Arkansas where we can take them. They can stay with my parents, or my wife's from Arkansas as well, so they can stay with her parents. So they can come to a few of the shows and stuff like that are a little more low key. But trying to take them, every weekend on the road with the band and the van is just way too tough. And so often we have to leave on, we may have to leave on a Wednesday or Thursday to go out and do shows, and may get back on a Monday. So you're missing days of school and things like that too. So especially for the 4-year-old, she's in preschool, so you don't want her to miss those educational days and stuff like that. So it's tough, but my wife goes through a lot on those weekends by herself. But, luckily we've got family that, is willing to come in and help sometimes too. And we've got her sister, my sister-in-law, and our brother-in-law nearby here in the Nashville area as well. So they come over and help some too. But yeah, my wife's a champ. She there's a lot of weekends where she's by herself with both girls. And I know as soon as I get home on Sunday night or something like that, I'm having to tag in, and after however many hours I've driven. But, her watching the girls for the weekend allows me to go out and do what I love and, make a living playing music.
Yeah, man. These moms, they really do it all. And it's, it's hard to put into words, but whenever you are, in charge, they're taking a rest or whatever, it gets chaotic. And
absolutely. It's
definitely shout out to moms out there.
Absolutely. For sure. Thanks to all the moms out there.
Oh, yeah. And so growing up in Arkansas, so did you grow up is it Hot Springs? Did I read that right?
I did. And remind me where you're from?
Have you heard of it's a small town of Guy, which most are in Arkansas, but Guy, Arkansas, the school was Guy Perkins.
Yes, I have driven through there a couple times. Haven't really, it's mostly just like driving
probably
through to go to a show or heading to the lake, or maybe, I've done so many radio stations through Arkansas. People name these small towns. Like, I don't know if you've ever heard of this. Oh no, I've driven through there. As an independent artist, when you got songs out and stuff, you try to hit all those small independent radio stations that'll play your stuff. So I've driven through probably, 75 to 80% of the state of Arkansas, like northern and northeast Arkansas, not as much, I haven't been up as far as like Blytheville and Mountain Home and stuff like that. But if it's
far,
if it's south of Little Rock anywhere or northwest Arkansas, I have most likely driven through it. So I grew up in Hot Springs. I was actually born in southeast Kansas. If anybody checks out my social media pages, you'll probably see Kansas City Chiefs stuff. That's how I became a Chiefs fan. And obviously, like, Fayetteville's not too far from Kansas City either. So there's a lot of Arkansas fans that are Kansas City fans as well, which is cool. But my mom's side is from southeast Kansas. My dad grew up in Benton, Arkansas. So when I was 2 years old, we moved to Arkansas full time and, lived in Hot Springs through high school, the first few years of college. And then my senior year of college, got a place here in Nashville and have been here permanently for, coming like right at 15 years now. I've been here in Nashville, but Arkansas will always be home.
I feel you on that. Like I left right around 18. So this was about 05, and I came back for about a year, but other than that, I've been gone since then. And it feels weird. I want to get back and move back, but yeah, it's weird growing up in a small hometown. Everywhere in Arkansas is small, even the bigger cities are small. Right. So it's like you have this sense of ownership. You feel like you're like, you're a Razorback fan, and you're going to be very proud of that. And you're going to be very proud of where you're from. It sounds like you played some sports and stuff like that, had some opportunity there, but you knew music was it for you, and so you took off out to college out in Nashville and just never left, kind of deal, huh?
Yep. I played everything pretty much in high school. I played football, basketball, ran track, I think I played baseball 1 year in high school. I was all conference in track my sophomore year, and track practice was at the same time as baseball practice. So didn't really get to play baseball much. I'd literally run track practice, get to baseball in time for conditioning. It's like, well, I just did this for an hour and a half. So I'll do some more of it. But so yeah, I played actually had a chance to run Division I track here in Nashville at Belmont, where I went to school, but music just took up too much time. And then I had one Division II offer at OBU there in Arkadelphia, Arkansas. And actually, I was going to audition for the music program there, and I had opportunities to get, partial football, partial music, stuff like that, and try to balance all that. But my first choice was always Belmont University. When I found out about Belmont, that Brad Paisley and Josh Turner and Trisha Yearwood had all gone to school there, I was like, well, that's where I want to go. Like, I can go to college and get a degree in singing country music or rock music or whatever it is, It's like, that sounds like the place for me. So when I got into Belmont, everything else just got pushed aside and headed up to Nashville and started there when I was 18 and did 4 years there, got a music degree, actually got a degree in commercial voice, vocal performance. Went to school with Russell Dickerson and the guys from Florida Georgia Line and Greg Bates and all these guys that have had such successful careers as songwriters and artists. And so many people that I went to school with are working in the industry now, and people that are still playing music out there touring as independent artists too. But, I just knew Nashville was where I wanted to be, and Belmont was awesome. And the guys, a couple of guys in my band I actually went to school with. So they've been playing with me on and off for, since sophomore or junior year of college. So probably almost 20 years now, or 18 years. They've been playing with me on and off, and so many great friends that I made that I'm still playing music with today.
That's awesome. I mean, it's tough to make the right decisions at that age too. And so to have a head on your shoulders to be like, well, I know what I'm going to do. I know it's a tough road, but I know I need to be all in on that. And so you made that choice because, with your songs you put out about the Chiefs and the Hogs, I have a feeling you're still pretty big into football and all that. And
oh yeah, there's still part of my brain that wants to be like, sports commentator and like follow teams around and all that stuff. And, I love that so much. I love every sport. Like, I grew up, my family's a big golf family. My dad's a PGA, club pro. My brother is as well. Awesome. So like golf's been big in my family. We always watched, tennis and, volleyball, any sport that was on, we would watch it. It's just, something that we always did. So I just love talking sports in general. So, with the Chiefs stuff, that all started in the last 4 or 5 years, but it's really opened me up to be able to talk about football a lot more, which I love. So all these people want to talk about the song, but hey, I get to talk about professional football or college football or whatever for, do a 30-minute interview. Half of it might be sports, which is really cool to me too. So,
yeah. So how do you feel? I have to ask you about the Hogs. So, basketball, I feel like is kind of put the football program on the hot seat with the transition, because when they grabbed Muss, it was like the sky's falling. Are we going to be able to get a coach there in time? And there's no roster, and all of a sudden Coach Cal comes. He's got the number 2 recruiting class, number 1 transfer class in a matter of a couple weeks, and
he
all
went
the money
from
being poured in.
Yeah, he went from having one player on the team who wasn't a scholarship player to having 7, and 6 of them are, 4 or 5 stars and all that stuff. It's just, it's crazy. The Coach Cal effect of bringing in those recruits, man. It's just been awesome to watch him sign so many new players. Obviously they'll have to fill out the roster a little bit more, but, I think they've definitely put a little bit put football a little bit on the hot seat. I don't know if it's like, you have to win 8 or 9 games this year, but it's definitely like you can't just go 6-6 and go to whatever low tier bowl. Like, I think the people are hoping for 7 or 8 wins, including the bowl game and stuff like that. So definitely put them on the hot seat a little bit. I think people want to see improvement, obviously, with the transfer stuff. That makes it so difficult to keep these players that are great recruits, but maybe haven't played enough. And I love the move of bringing in Bobby Petrino because the offense was a little stagnant last year. So, I mean, it's kind of I wouldn't call it a Hail Mary, but it's a little bit of a heave, hoping to bring in a guy. But he's one of the best offensive minds out there, and I think he'll have the chance to get the offense on track with some of these new guys. And, we played so many teams close last year, too. That's what really stinks about some of these losses, We lost a couple games by a lot, but we always understand we've played Alabama well. We've always played LSU pretty well, even the years when we just weren't very good. So, all we got to do is turn those, 6 to 8 point losses into a win. All of a sudden you're looking at 8-9 win seasons and people aren't talking about it. So I definitely think there's a little bit of pressure on the football team. And obviously now with Coach Cal getting the NIL money for football, you
That's
see
my
the
big
opportunity.
thought.
Yeah, you see the opportunity for, if football is successful, these people are going to donate money for the NIL for football as well. So I think that's
Yeah.
the hardest thing right now. And, so many schools are trying to navigate the new NIL stuff along with all of it. So you got to win the games to bring in the money to help the recruits. So hopefully they can win 7 or 8 regular season games this year and give us a chance in a bowl game.
Yeah, man. I had Mitch Mustaine on a few episodes back.
I thought you had him on, yeah.
Yeah, and he was talking about, he was like, there's all kinds of money in Arkansas and on the Hill, and they claim to be, boosters, donors, whatever, but you don't really see it now that the new NIL era happened, and then a little bit time has passed, and all of a sudden basketball it all hit.
Right.
So my thought is there's going to be certain donors heavy on basketball, and then there's some of the others that didn't dive into basketball. There's going to be the pressure to get in with football, because some of them could do as good as job as they can, but if you're not willing, if the money's not there, it's a bidding war right now. Which granted that could change, but in the present, it's a bidding war, and so if we ain't in the mix and we're just getting 3 stars, some of those 3 stars are going to be amazing players, but you can't make a real run with nothing but that. So that's what I'm hoping for, but we'll see.
Yeah, there's definitely a combination of, you saw it with even as far back as Houston Nutt. He didn't get a whole lot of 5-star recruits other than guys that were in-state guys, but he always coached up the 3 stars pretty well. He couldn't quite get to the point where he could get those guys consistently and compete for, conference titles and stuff like that all the time. And the same thing with Petrino. Petrino never really had a top 20 recruiting class. He was just a great coach and was able to coach up these guys, that were 3 stars to play really, really well. So you still have to be able to do that, but you also got to be able to balance the NIL. And, I've actually talked about it with some friends. It's funny. I've moved to Nashville, and 2 or 3 of my closest friends that are here are all from Arkansas. So we talk Arkansas sports all the time. And, we always say, man, there's so much money in Northwest Arkansas. You hear that all the time, with Walmart and J.B. Hunt and Tyson and Jerry Jones and Stevens and all that stuff. You've got so many billionaires in that area, but you never really see it come through for the NIL stuff. And then now you are. So I'm hoping that this, maybe John Tyson getting involved in basketball shows these football boosters hey, you're giving us $1 million a year, maybe $2 million a year is enough to get us over the hump, to get us into whatever, because we're going to see hopefully an immediate effect in basketball. So and it's also funny you had Mitch Mustaine on, because I'm trying to think. I think he was the same year as me coming out of high school, and they were a different classification than us. We were at the time, Arkansas went to 5A. We were 4, they were 5, but we played them in 7-on-7 in a tournament that's the summer before senior year. Oh my gosh.
How'd it go?
It was 55-10 or something like that. Mustaine threw 2 passes, both of them touchdowns, went up 14-0. They put in a backup. It was unreal. One to Damian Williams and one to Ben Cleveland. They were okay, pull him out, let them all rest for the next game or whatever. But and of course, 7-on-7, you're not taking a whole lot of defensive guys. You're playing some guys that can play both ways. So I'm playing receiver at the time, and the corner on me is Damian Williams. So this dude is going to play in the NFL in 3 years, and I've got him guarding me. I had 1 catch for about 5 yards, and that was it. I was so happy I caught him. So watching those guys, they were just, you think you play at a high level of high school football, then you play against guys like that 5 or 6 guys are going to go play Division I next year. You don't even realize how talented they are.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's and you were a track athlete. I'm sure you were still very fast too, obviously, and it's still someone like that can give you problems. But then I was on the regular though, you're fine. But yeah, that was a group that was just insane though.
I was a 400 and 800 guy. I was all state in track, and I ran at the meet of champs and all that stuff. But man, I remember running indoor state championship my senior year, and Damian Williams was running the think it was like the 60-meter dash or the 50-meter dash or whatever, because it was indoor. And I think he finished like second in the whole state of like it's like that dude's on another level of quickness and speed from everybody else around here. It's just unreal.
It's always terrifying to go to those track meets and you see like one of those football dudes that's just huge, but they are booking it and you're just like, giant human being should not be able to move that fast. That's terrifying. My
junior year of basketball, we played Pulaski Oak Grove in basketball. And they and McFadden was on the team. He was a starter. He was like their
I was wondering if he played basketball or not.
He did. And I'm taller than him. I wasn't. We had a bunch of guys that were taller than me on the team, and I didn't play as much my junior year.
What's your height?
I'm 6'3".
So dang, okay. I didn't realize that.
We had a couple guys that were 6'5", 6'6", and then stuff like that. But so yeah, we're playing them, and Darren, he didn't shoot anything outside of like 5 feet from the basket, but he'd go up for a rebound, pull it off the top of the backboard, outlet pass, and sprint the court and beat everybody down, and it'd just be like pass it right back to him for a dunk. He had 8 or 10 points all on dunks, just on fast breaks. I can out jump you, I can outrun you, and I'm 6'2", 205 as a senior in high school. I mean, he was built. He was built like
break out. Play at one of those older high school or one of those small schools. He'd tear that goal in pieces.
Man, he was built like an NFL running back at 18 years old. I'd never seen anything like it. It was just, you walked by him, shaking hands at the end of the game. You're just like, that dude's on a different level of God-given talent and ability. It's just unreal.
Yeah, like you said, it's crazy. Like, especially at the high school level. Whenever you play against a player like that, like my school, we were 1A, but we won state my senior year, but we were 1A. So sometimes you play, we play a lot of bigger schools, but sometimes you get an athlete that you go against and it's just like, God, dude, like what am I going to do with this? But yeah, it's definitely an eye opener, and you realize, okay, so that's D1, that's possibly pro. That's what that is. But our coach did a good one thing that he did for us that helped was every Sunday after church, we had like a practice that wasn't mandatory, but it was, and it was just scrimmaging. And he would bring in older guys that a lot of them played college or overseas or whatever. And he would be light on the whistle too and let them just beat us down a bit. But I remember one Sunday he had a guy come up there. He worked us all day for a few hours there. He was shorter, but he would just float around. He could shoot anywhere. And he whole time had these gold chains. He had this nice new Corvette out front. And I knew he played overseas, but apparently he flexed on and started doing line drills after we got done playing. And in my head, I thought he was flexing, but turns out the next day or two, he had a tryout at the Grizzlies or something.
Oh, wow.
So he was trying to make that roster.
Trying to get in shape, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, so he just worked us all day to prep for it. But but coach would do things like that for us and get us whooped, and that way, whenever we did play against that good talent, we'd been there before. We just, and you gotta just find ways to win, trying to go fast or shoot a lot more threes in a shorter amount of time or whatever you got to do.
Yeah, I can remember. I think it was like my sophomore year. It was my first time ever playing 7-on-7. We were a 4A school, I think we were playing like Gurdon or somebody like that who was a 2A or 3A school. But I was 6'2", 150 pounds. Like, I was a rail. I had no muscle whatsoever. Like, I just was never one to be able to put on a ton of muscle just because I was so tall and lanky and I ran track and all that stuff. So my first experience of like press coverage in football was against this all-state Gurdon corner who just pressed me out of bounds or into the ground every play. And I had to learn to like escape at the line of scrimmage just to be able to even like in on the play. And like as terrible as that was, that made it so much easier for me later on, just thinking like, nobody's going to like outweigh me and like outmuscle me like that guy compared to what I weighed at the time. So by the time junior and senior year came through, I felt so much more comfortable with any of it. Like I found out how to, get guys' hands off of me faster, but I never would have been able to do that as fast if this guy hadn't completely just manhandled me for an entire 7-on-7 game. So
Yeah, you don't want that, and you don't want to come to that realization in an important game. You want to get that a little
Yes.
earlier on.
Yeah, I'd rather get chewed out at 15 in a 7-on-7 game than when I'm 17 or 18 in a real game. So yeah,
that, and like, as you progress, you start learning like, all right, what can I do to mitigate this? Because this is not going to go well if I just play it straight up. Like, what can I do?
Exactly. Yeah.
If I remember right, Gurdon was like, they were smaller, but they were kind of known for having football for that size of school.
Yeah. They were. I'm trying to think. They may have been. I can't remember if they were a 2A or a 3A, but they were they were like a Prescott. Like they were always in the state playoffs for their classification and doing really well. And yeah, they had some guys, man. And we used to run track against them too. They had some track athletes as well. But yeah, they were always kind of a high school football. At least back, when I was in high school, they were always there in the playoffs.
What was that high school? I think they were maybe like a 3A or something, but I think it's Win. Is it? No, it maybe not Win, but it's they got like a ton of Hogs wide receivers have went through.
Warren.
Yes, I knew it was W.
Warren Lumberjacks, man. Yeah. We never played them, but they had Jarius Wright, Greg Childs.
Yeah.
Who was the tight end? Chris Bragg, and then his brother. And then Traylon Burks as well, who plays for the Titans.
Yeah.
They had all those guys go through there. And they had other guys that played Division I or like high-level Division II as well. They just always had – that was like if you wanted a wide receiver to go to Arkansas, you went to Warren and found one. Like that's just – and all those guys played in the NFL. Like they played at least 5 or 6 years in the NFL. It's just crazy the amount of talent.
I'm surprised we haven't heard of a QB come out of there because, surely they made some QB shine pretty well.
Probably so, but Traylon Burks, we saw it against Alabama in college. You throw him a slant and he'll just take it to the house. So it's,
Yeah, it's kind of like throw it up and Traylon's there somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just hope he's healthy for this next season because I feel like they did put a lot into him with letting A.J. Brown go and taking him on, and then it's just been a lot of injuries. But he's got the talent. He's just got to be healthy,
For sure. Like living here in Nashville, people talk about the Titans all the time. So I'm always like, they love Burks. They just want him to be healthy. I was like, man, I'll tell you, if he stays healthy, because you see these flashes of it when he's got 2 or 3 games where he gets in the groove. All of a sudden, he'll have 3 straight games with 60, 70, 80 yards. Like he's finding his groove a little bit, and then that first year concussion was just so bad. He made such a great catch and then had the concussion that knocked him out the rest of the year pretty much. So I hope he can stay healthy. And, even Chiefs fans have been talking about, like, we need to go get Traylon Burks, because we're having, just to help fill out our wide receiver room. Maybe the Titans are worried about injuries or whatever, because I wanted the Chiefs to get him and trade up in the first round a couple of years ago because he's awesome. And I sang at a wedding that he was a groomsman in Warren 3 or 4 years ago. And he's just the nicest guy, man. He really is. He loves to hunt and fish, and he's just really simple, just really nice guy. And I would just wish him nothing but the best. He's just so talented. I want him to be able to have a full, healthy season and show the world what he can do.
Yeah, he seems like a good, just like normal dude and everything like that, and always posting those hunting pictures and stuff like that.
I'm pretty sure the day of his draft party or the day before, he was out, caught his limit on bass that day and was having a fish fry. Like, man, that's my kind of guy.
Yeah. So for a lot of reasons, we want him to do well. So I wish him some luck. But I was, as far as the Chiefs go, man, I was saying all year, I was like, man, it just ain't gonna happen unless they get some receivers, because Kadarius Toney was a problem. He was a liability going on, and then but then Mahomes, in my head too, I was like, he's already great, but he solidifies himself into that talk of GOAT conversation if he can win with this receiving core. And I get the defense was pretty good this year, but he made it happen.
The defense was definitely good this year, but I think you saw the kind of progression of Rashee Rice throughout the season. Like, he had a touchdown first week, but it was like, a couple, like 20 yards for a couple catches and a touchdown. But every week, man, he kept showing up, and he's a guy that ran like a 4.55 at the combine. You never thought he'd be like this blazing receiver, but I think he just has a little, his top end speed maybe isn't the best, but he catches the ball and he'll take off and he'll get, separation pretty quickly. He doesn't have that final gear to run away from everybody, but man, he really turned into a great receiver. Obviously he's got some off the field issues this offseason, but they went and got Hollywood Brown, and, we got a receiver in the first round this year too. So we're looking like the receiver rooms. They're doing what they can to not have the receiver room be the reason that we're struggling for sure. So, and I'll take, we were probably top 3, top 4 defense in the league last year. So, but I'll take a top 10 defense and Mahomes with receivers all day long.
Yeah. And it's tough, but I mean, as long as you got guys that are capable, of at least making the catch, then he's going to get them opportunities. But man, there were games where Tony dropped those passes, and it was just like, dude. And I've never seen Mahomes with the frustration at a wide receiver, and I don't think he meant to outwardly show it, but you could see it, and it was just like
when he kind of went off on the refs in that Bills game. I don't think he was going off on the refs. I think he was going off on just the frustration of the way the year had been with so many drops. Obviously, MVS had some issues as well. So we led the league in drops all year long. So the fact that we still won the Super Bowl was just insane.
Yeah, it's kind of like anybody that wants to throw any shade at Mahomes, that Super Bowl kind of just put that to rest,
He turned it on. And, props to the receivers that struggled in the regular season. And, MVS caught every tough ball that was thrown his way in the playoffs. So he helped us win another Super Bowl.
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they'll get another, clear-cut wide receiver one if Rice, maybe he is that one anyway. So, but they'll keep a good squad together as long as he's around, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
So, all right. So we'll let's pivot back to you and some music, man. I want to hear a little bit about you digging into Nashville. So, were you playing at places in town while you were in college, or did you kind of really just get into that after school? Whenever you were graduated, how did that work out for you?
I had never, other than singing in church and choir in high school and a couple solo talent shows in middle school and stuff, I'd never really done any performing of my own. Nobody really had bands at my high school. There was one group of guys that had a punk rock band or whatever, but nobody had a country band or a rock band other than some guys that might jam in a garage once every 4 months, So it wasn't something that I ever I never performed with a band or grew up playing in bands like some of my buddies from college. So when I got to college, it was just full on learn as much as I can, get to the point they make you take 3 or 4 semesters of classical voice training so that you have all this technique. So where you go out and play these 3-hour shows or whatever, you're not wearing yourself out. You're not popping vocal cords. It's just like anything else. If I'm going to go run a marathon, I'm not just going to go out cold and run a marathon. I'm going to train for it. I'm going to build up the muscles and my cardio and all that stuff. It's the exact same thing. So if I can't sing properly and I'm tensing my neck the whole time, there's going to be a point where muscles tighten up and you risk injuring yourself and potentially losing your voice or needing surgery. So that was kind of the focus. And then I never played guitar either. I bought a guitar my junior year of high school, I think, and I took 2 lessons because lessons were at 5:30 and football practice ended at 5. So trying to get there, sweaty from football practice was always tough. So I just kind of taught myself to play guitar off of I put a guitar chord chart on my wall freshman year and just kind of learned to play chords, and slowly through the years got to the point where I could, kind of write some songs and play along to cover songs and stuff like that with friends, to where by my senior year, I could go play a half-hour show and I could play guitar a few songs. And so by the time I graduated, I had never put out music of my own. I had never really played a live show longer than 30 minutes with a band. I'd never gone out and played a bar gig or anything like that. So my first goal was just, I've got to get out and get this performance experience. So, me and my buddy Joey, who played guitar for me for 10, 12 years before COVID, we booked these acoustic gigs in Arkansas or Texas or wherever that we had family to stay with. And we'd go play house parties or whatever bar or winery or restaurant would let us play for a couple $100 in tips. And we would stay with family and, you'd have one car, and that's just how we did it. And we got to the point where, we played this bar, like we played a winery in Texas. First night there, they might have 30 people there that were just there to drink wine and whatever. Well, we play there again the next month, there might be 50 people. And then you just slowly start building it to the point where you go play these acoustic shows and there'd be 100 people there. Okay, let's book a venue and play a full band show in this area so all these people can come here as full band. And that's really how we started all of it. And through it all, just trying to get all these people to follow us on, at the time it was Facebook, and then it became Instagram, and now, of course, it's TikTok and all that stuff. So it was literally just, I had no live music experience other than the few things I'd done in college. So get out there and do it and learn to play but you play guitar, even if you're just playing rhythm guitar for 3 hours, you do that, 3 or 4 days a week for a year. By the end of the year, you're so much better than you were. Just you're not thinking about playing while you're playing. You're not thinking, you're so much more focused on entertaining and performing for people. So that just is what kind of led to all of that and got to the point of playing full band shows. And then we just tried to expand to, bigger spots, and got to the point where, I was able to take a full band and open for some of these people. I got to open for Joe Nichols in I have to go back and look. It's either 2010 or 2011. That may have been one of my first full band shows, but that was only half an hour, and so I had to really get out there and really get that experience. I'd never put out original music. So when I was home during the week, when we weren't touring or out traveling, trying to play these acoustic shows, we just wrote songs. And so we started writing songs and finally got to the point where you had 5 or 6 that were good enough to record, you thought. And so got them recorded and finally put on. I think I put those out January of 2013. We had a little bit of delay in production, but yeah, I think I put a single out in 2011, put an EP out in 2013, and kind of every 2 years or so try to put out a new project since then. But that was really what led to all of it, just getting out there and performing. And a lot of people that I went to school with, they went right into I'm going to network in Nashville and I'm going to try to just write songs every day and not go play shows. And that has led to songwriting careers for them and stuff like that. And some of them already had that live music experience, so they were ahead of me on that. So it's just trying to get out there and get that experience. And, people say it all the time, get those 10,000 hours, when you get to that point where you're an expert on something, that's really it, just trying to get out there and do as much of it as I can and get to the point where I was able to, get to the point where I could write with, hit songwriters in town and stuff like that, to where I could all of a sudden, my songwriting has improved, but you're writing with great writers as well. So just getting in the room with those people, the amount of songs that come out of that it's amazing how far your songwriting can come. And you write with different people. I grew up on country and classic rock, and my buddy Joey grew up on rock and classic rock. So we had a lot of that writing style, but I didn't write with a lot of pop people. I didn't write with a lot of super traditional country people or folk or whatever. So writing with other people, they grew up hearing different melodies in their head. So you write with them and you hear different lines and different words and different melodies and all that stuff. So that's really what helps you, grow and expand as a songwriter.
Yeah. I think that's crazy that you said you really didn't know how to play guitar, and then you just kind of self-taught yourself. You had you had X amount of time in college, and you were going to start doing your shows and stuff afterwards. So, I mean, you really did it smart. You had a good head on your shoulders for it at a young age, because you knew you had the talent. You were like, let me do the learning piece of it. Let me get guitar down and then go. And I mean, you say it kind of nonchalant, but how many people pick up a guitar and then it just sits there and collects dust because they can't figure that out?
Right.
Right. Know?
Well, and my poor roommate freshman year, he was a guitar major, and he had to hear me just trying to get my fingers right, and play these chords, and he's like, oh, he's probably going nuts. But, being able to do that, and just, so many people, being able to learn just 2 or 3, 3 or 4 chords on a guitar can let you play along with some songs. And then you get to the point where you learn most of them or all of them. And I am definitely if people ask me if I'm a guitar player, I say no. I always say I am not a guitar player. I can play guitar. I'm a pretty good rhythm player. But if you ask me oh, Blane, take a solo, I'd be just nope. Like, don't even. I got a one note solo. I'll hit the same note the whole time or whatever. Like, I'm not a picker. I'm not a soloist, but I can play rhythm all day and all that stuff. So that's just kind of, I use it to write songs. And in college, I was required to take piano as well. So I play enough piano to I haven't played it live in a long time. So I don't really do that at shows, but I can play a little bit and write songs on piano as well, but most of it's guitar. But yeah, it's really just so much downtime. And being at a place like Belmont, some of my best friends today I went to school with there, and they all played guitar. So we would they'd come over to your dorm room, or you'd go over to theirs, and you'd all have a guitar. Like, hey, let's play this song and sing. And so if they've got it out, like, why not grab mine and, play along with them? So it was nice motivation for me to be like, okay, if I do this every day or do this a couple times a week or whatever, I can get to the point where maybe I'm not at their level, but I get to the point where I can just pick up a guitar and play most country songs that I know in my head.
Yeah. So it sounds like going to Belmont was such a big influence on you because you were around the same minded people that had similar goals to you. Had you gone somewhere else, because you did want to continue playing football, do you think, how do you think things would have been different, or would they have been? I mean, do you think maybe you didn't have time to picking up guitar and things like that? Like, how does that change your career path and how things have went if you had not gone there, or does it at all?
Man, I've thought about that before, and I really don't know, because I would have probably gone to OBU, and whether I played football or not, like, music would have been so much of my scholarship, I would have had to devote time to that. So, but they don't have like a commercial program. I think they have musical theater and classical, but I don't know if that would have led me to Nashville or not. And part of me at the time, even thought like, well, if I don't get into Belmont, I guess I could move to Nashville and just try to do it on my own and meet people that way or whatever. But I don't know. If I'd gone to somewhere else, I'm not really sure how my career would have turned out. Funny enough, my future wife, who I'd never met at the time, she grew up in Camden, Arkansas, an hour and a half away from me, and she went to OBU. So if I'd gone to OBU, I may have met her, 3 or 4 years earlier, and who knows? So many things happen the way they're supposed to happen. And so I'm always kind of curious about that, but who knows? I may have gone into some type of broadcast journalism and be trying to like do sports in some way or whatever. But it's just, you just never know what's going to lead you there. But music and singing was always what I wanted to do. And I always knew that I wanted to, like, even when I was 4 or 5 years old, if you asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up, I always said Alan Jackson. So Nashville was kind of always where I was headed. So I don't know, man. I don't know how it would have turned out, but I'm glad that I actually got into Belmont, and that kind of set me on the path to Nashville.
Yeah, man, I think that you're too talented to it wouldn't have. I don't think you would have completely taken a left turn by no means. I think even if life got so busy, I think it would have there would have been a path where you would have been. There's no, you would have been in there. It just may have taken longer or something like that. But I think getting around the like-minded people and just being able to like 100% focus could kind of get you heading there quicker for sure. But
definitely. And they forced me to write songs. I'd never done that before either. Like, so I can remember sophomore year trying to write my first song thinking it was awful. And it, probably was, but they forced me to do that, and they helped me push my boundaries to the point where by the time I graduated, I could go sit down and, I'd never done like a co-writing session before, but you just sit down and you do it and you figure it out. And the first song you write is probably not going to be great, but the fifth one might be pretty good. And then you might have to go back to that first idea later. But so many of those things, I wouldn't have been pushed into playing guitar or performing live with a full band as early in my career or anything, or writing songs. So all of that, being with those like-minded people and those good friends that motivated me and pushed me to want to do that.
Yeah, and writing songs obviously is something that paid off for you, because the song to your wife, that did so dang well and is still doing well. That was something from you, from the heart, that was real. And so good thing. You were open and you went. You knew you had the voice. Good thing you were open to doing a little more of it and doing doing it
Right.
all and being well rounded.
Yeah, and if I hadn't, who knows, if I hadn't, one of the first co-writes I ever did was actually with my co-writer on that song. So if I hadn't had the courage to say, well, I'm terrible at this, but I'm going to do it anyway with him that first time, maybe I'd never written with him ever, and it wouldn't have led to other songs I wrote with him as well, too. So it's funny how all that kind of works out.
I did see you had a lot of guys that you write with as well that have a lot of good stuff under their belt. How did you link up with so many talented people? I get when you're talented, you all kind of find each other. But how did all that come about?
Well, some of them were just through college and stuff like that. Like the guy that I wrote Promise with, he wrote Tequila and Speechless and all these huge hit 10,000 Hours for Dan and Shay. Like I think the last Dan and Shay album, he wrote 9 out of 10 songs on it. Like he's become a huge writer in their world. But, we wrote together. We went to college together. We wrote together in college. And I think we wrote Promise a week or two before Tequila came out. Like I remember it was going number 1 when we wrote the next time. And then he completely blew up to where every big name songwriter in Nashville wanted to write with him. And, so some of that's from college and some of that's from having success in my career. People notice, and I had a manager for a while that had some connections and stuff. So he'll set you up with people that, maybe they've had a number 1 hit, or maybe they've had, cuts or, a top 10 hit, but they haven't had 15 of them like a Shane McAnally or somebody like that, or even like a Lee Brice type guy or a Dallas Davidson. But, so they have connections that they've had artists write with them in the past. So you get with them. And sometimes you write with guys, like I've written with guys that have 40 number 1s. And, sometimes people just don't mesh either personality wise or just style wise. Maybe you're a little too country for them, or maybe they're too traditional or too folk or too pop or whatever. So sometimes people do mesh, sometimes people don't. So I've been lucky to write with, a lot of guys that have had some success as songwriters. And, one of them, I met him. I remember meeting him at an industry event. His name's Steve Dean. He's from Little Rock. He's got 10 number 1s, and most of them were in the 70s and 80s, but he wrote Roundabout Way for George Strait and Watching You by Rodney Atkins. Like he's had some huge hits. So being able to write with him simply because I was at an event where my manager knew him, and he said, you guys are both from Arkansas. And so we just started talking, and that's led to us writing together 4 or 5 times. So just so many different ways to meet people and meet writers. And I've been lucky to write with some really big ones, whether the songs turned out great or not. Being able to be in the room with them and say you co-wrote with them and learn their process and all that stuff too, it's just been extremely valuable.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like what we were talking about with sports earlier. Whenever you're getting with some of the best at whatever craft that is, it's only going to make you better. It's going to bring your game, especially you getting a peek into the process, not just like seeing like how good someone is, but seeing the process of how are they doing that can only make you better.
Exactly. And for the most part, every songwriter probably will tell you sometimes it starts with an idea. Sometimes you get there and you don't have an idea you like that day. So you just start playing something on the guitar and just figuring out, maybe you write the verse first, or maybe you have a chorus, but you have nothing to go with it. So there's different ways to write songs for sure. But the one thing it taught me is when you get in those writes with somebody that is a big time writer, you show up at the very least with 2 or 3 really good ideas. So you go in prepared to say, I really like these 3 ideas. If they don't like them, that's fine. They can always throw theirs out. But if you walk in and you go, yeah, really, it's really great to be here, man. Tell me your best. You don't say, tell me your best idea. You get everything from you. Like you want to show up and say, even if you don't like these, I'm coming here prepared to write today. And, so that was the biggest thing too. Like even when I go write with friends or people that I've written with 5 or 6 times that aren't big hit songwriters, but they're good writers. When I show up, I always like to have an idea or 2. And now do we use those ideas? Probably a third of the time you use those ideas, but you still go in prepared, and maybe there's one that they like, but you like something else better that day. So you put a note by that one. I've got a note thing in my phone that says, song ideas. And person A really liked this song. So next session I go in, I say, hey, I had this idea last time you kind of liked. What do you think about it today? So it's just so many different ways and so many different, things that go into songwriting.
Man, it's just the way you're saying that's the two things that stick out to me that is common with, anybody that's going to have success in anything is you got to show up to the table with something. Whether it's you're working as a team, whether it's a complaint at work and somebody's like wants something changed, don't complain. Come with some solutions, right?
Right.
So you're coming to the table with something, even though you know what you're working with, and they're going to have stuff. But also you're open to saying, hey, some of my ideas ain't gonna work, some of yours are, but we're gonna work together. So, people that do this type of stuff are gonna want to work with you so much more, because not only are you bringing something to the table, but this is a guy you can work with. He's not hard-headed. He's not stuck on he's got an idea. It's got to be this. And so, yeah, but it's funny whenever you interview or talk to people like you start to dig into things and you're like, like this is why he's successful. Like you get into the meat and potatoes of how they operate and how they do what they do with their craft, and it all makes sense, right?
Well,
and why they're so successful.
Well, and there's definitely things that it works in all areas. Like you said, if I go into a songwriting session and we're writing this idea that I love, and this is what we're writing today, and everything that they say I don't like, or if I say a line and they don't like it and I say, no, this is the line, they're going to get through that session as quick as possible, and they're never going to book it. And so same thing, if I go in and they're throwing out every line and I'm not giving any ideas, whether they take my ideas or not, I want someone that's at least going to throw out some ideas, because sometimes I have an idea in my head, I throw it out, and it's not what we use, but it sparks an idea for someone else. And if I hadn't said that, it wouldn't have sparked their idea. Same thing for me. So I want someone that's going to at least throw out ideas. Now, sometimes people throw out ideas that are just don't work, or you don't like the rhyme or whatever, or it's not the direction you want to take, and you have to be able to say, I kind of like that, but I'm not sure that's the direction or whatever. But you have to be able to definitely be able to compromise on things, for sure. And be able to stand your ground on things as well. But you don't want to be completely just like a pushover but also completely just bossy on everything too. So there's definitely a balance there.
Yeah, I mean, I think you get some honest opinion going, and you're open-minded, and then collaboration is going to be a lot better than
Absolutely.
Like you said. Yeah,
absolutely.
That's awesome. All these guys that we've talked about that you've opened for or worked with, or even some of the local shows you've done like that. I got a two-parter for you. I'll give you the first part, and then we'll get into the next one. So, who is out of all these big names? Who did you, not to throw shade at anybody else, but who did you enjoy? Which show was the most memorable for you? Because that person was awesome, the show was awesome, the crowd was on. Tell me. I want to hear about that experience.
Man, so many of them have actually been great. I've been lucky enough to open for Joe Nichols 5 times now. So having that Arkansas connection, like being able to run into him, is just being able to say, "Hey, man, good to see you again." All that stuff, like enough to where he knows me, to where he, he'll listen to the show and things like that, and be able to actually like talk to him. Opening for Justin Moore, like being able to hang out with him and his crew backstage was really awesome. Trying to think. Blake Shelton. So when I opened for Blake Shelton, it was right after like season 1 or 2 of The Voice. And usually I played this venue before and opened for people. And usually for the opener, there's about 2,000 or 3,000 people there. And then by the time the main act starts about 8 or 8:30, it would be pretty full. Blake Shelton, when I went on, it was already completely packed, like over capacity. So having like 10,000 people or 12,000 people, whatever it was, that were already packed in right there to start the show was incredible. Just so much energy. And, half of them probably didn't listen to me or didn't care, but being able to perform in front of that many people was awesome. To be able to perform in front of a completely packed house like that was awesome. And, I didn't get to talk to Blake after the set because he had a meet and greet line 3 miles
yeah.
long,
Yeah.
but he was
Imagine.
like seeing him interacting with the crew and all that stuff was great. Trace Atkins was awesome because their whole crew plays golf. So they played, I opened for him in Hot Springs. So they went and played golf where my dad works at Hot Springs Country Club. So he talked to us to, tell your dad, thank you for letting us play. And then I actually got a co-write schedule with his piano player and band leader. And then when they came back to town the next year, they like invited my parents with backstage passes and had them like tour the tour bus and all that stuff too, which was really cool. So they were really great he was really great to me and my family. But the best one that I've had so far was Hunter Hayes. And I know that like he may not be the biggest name on the list of who I've opened for, but man, like we're doing sound check and he's sitting stage side. He's got his guitar in hand noodling, but he's listening to every single song during sound check. And he comes over after we're done and is shaking hands, saying, man, you guys sound great. You're a 4-piece. You sound so tight. And, we found out we knew 2 or 3 guys in his band. So he wasn't backstage for our show. He watched our entire show side stage. He told us great job from the stage. And then afterwards he said, their whole band said, well, what are you guys doing after the show? It's like, well, we haven't eaten dinner. We're probably going to go find some food or whatever and just hang out. And he goes, no, we got pizza and beer coming. Y'all just hang out with us until we're out. And so we literally hung out with them and his whole band backstage until like midnight. Show ended at 9:30 or so. We hung out with them, drank some beer, ate pizza, and all while the crew like loaded up all the gear, and like Hunter invited me on the bus. His parents were there because they were up from Louisiana, and like his mom had made homemade sausage and stuff. So like they're feeding me and all this. It was just they went above and beyond. And man, all the band guys that I see around town, we still talk about hanging out with them and just how much fun we had. And they're just a band of great guys that are great musicians and love to play music. And Hunter's a great musician that loves good music as well. So just hanging out with all of them and just not even talking industry stuff, just talking music and hanging out and just, being 10 dudes that play music for a living, hanging out, drinking beer and eating pizza for 2 or 3 hours it was incredible. That was one of the coolest things ever. And I have so much I already had respect for Hunter as an artist and a musician, but I mean, respect went through the roof on how he and his crew treated us. And it showed, like, we try to treat people that open for us the same way. So, being able to have that, it's just amazing to be like, that's how you treat people. That's how every person you meet, leaves going, man, those guys are awesome.
I would have to say, whenever somebody, you have that good experience and it's all, you're getting to meet the family and everybody's cooking for everybody. And I could see why that would be one that would stick in your head. That's awesome. I like hearing stuff like that. And I like hearing that you're taking that as like, man, I love that so much. We're going to pass that or pay that forward. And that's how we're going to treat people and all that.
Absolutely. And, I got to open for Charlie Daniels at the Arkansas State Fair. This is probably, 2014 or 15, I think. And Charlie, I think he got there an hour before the show or something like that. But we finished the show, we come off stage, and he's standing right there next to the stage, watching us. And he was very old at the time. I mean, he had to have been, I don't know how old he was. He had to have been in his 70s. And he just immediately was like, man, you guys really looked like you were having a lot of fun out there. How's the crowd? How's everybody enjoying it? He was just really, really appreciative of us, and then I said, man, we're so excited to hear you. Thank you so much for letting us open for you. And he goes, man, we're going to go try to have some fun just like you guys. And, he was to the age where he could barely, it took him probably 30 seconds to climb the 6 or 7 stairs to get on stage. As soon as he got up there, man, he was just, that fiddle was going and,
gotta have fiddle in the band.
So much of it, sometimes you don't have much time between a set to talk to somebody. So just somebody saying anything, and a legend like Charlie Daniels saying, man, you guys were great. Looked like you had so much fun. I hope we can, have fun like y'all did and all that stuff. Just, it goes such a long way. Cause there's so many that, and it's completely their prerogative. They do this for a living. They do it 200 days a year. That just stay on their tour bus until it's time to walk out and all that. So I completely get that side of it too. But even just as much as just saying, great job or, hello or whatever, it goes a long way.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I mean, and like you said, on the flip side, I get the other side of it too. When you do it so much and everything like that, and sometimes people, it's like, especially if you're maybe a little more introverted and you got to go out there and you're like,
Oh yeah,
all these people I got to deal with. You got to kind of just get yourself ready for that. So I get that too.
And I'm sure they deal with people that are way over the top that want to like give them all their information and their their demos, and these are songs I've written and I'd love to write with you, and can you hook me up with so and so? And that's just not the professional way to handle things. There's definitely, you can always ask for a picture and things like that, and there's just, you don't get in somebody's face and do stuff like that. So I think that I'm sure they've had some of that too to avoid it as well.
Oh yeah, surely. And just speaking of Charlie Daniels, man, that dude went, he's seen a lot of different eras of music and came through a different time. And I'm sure like going through all those eras is, he had to be just very humble and nice dude. I remember I would be from where I lived in Conway for a brief bit when I did move back for about a year or so there. And, I remember he'd play at Toadsuck, and I could hear from the house and go walk down. And I was like, yeah, because he was always, I don't know, you can't not have fun going on his show.
Consummate entertainer, man, consummate entertainer, just always ready to go.
And then back to part of what you're saying too, that Arkansas connection. That if you're not from here, you don't get it. But like, there's something too. Whenever you got another Arkansas boy or something like that, you want to link up with him. You want to shoot the show with him. You want to hear, what he's got to think about the Hogs or whatever. And you want to root for him too. You want him to do good and and all that stuff. And there's just that kind of camaraderie that goes with being from a small town state that. You know what I mean? Absolutely,
for sure. Like it's just. You pull up like I've opened for Justin Moore twice, I think. And then I did an acoustic, the tornado relief show with him last year as well. But man, he pulls up with that big red bus with the hog on the back. He's ready to talk to hog. So you can always get a conversation started that way. We played a show together in Kentucky. And so it was like, I think either Arkansas had just played Kentucky in basketball or they were about to. So we were jabbing the crowd a little bit about Kentucky basketball, but that was, probably, I think it was 2 years ago, but that was a fun show.
And that was a good run because we had a run of a few years there where we were beating them every year. And so it was, that was a good time to do it, but you kind of got to know the crowd and be like, I know when I need to pull back on that a little
exactly.
bit.
You can give them a little jab or whatever, but you can always say you guys have 500 national championships and we have one. So
yeah, there's that. And, so going through the military, I've got buddies from all over the place, and I got one good buddy. He's retired now, but we text a ton, and he's a Kentucky guy, and, I respect him. So we're like realistic about it. And then I got other Kentucky friends that it's just literally shit talk, but, we know what's real and what's not. But,
that's part of just the SEC there. In general. That's just part of it.
Yeah, and there's like respect, like when Florida and with Tebow and that whole run, whenever the Hogs were so good that we were like, we could do this, and McFadden could have got Heisman and this and that.
Yeah.
We hated them, but at the same time, that era of Florida football, I respected because, they were
so dominant. They were so dominant. Yeah.
It was disgusting how good they were. But, it was it was a thing to watch, that's for sure. And so it's like you hate it, you talk some crap on it, but you understood what was in front of you,
Definitely.
So going back to shows, so this next, the second part of that question I wanted to ask you was just kind of out of every show ever, not even just the big ones, like what was the most memorable show you had? And I kind of want to hear more about it. I think everybody likes to hear more about like one where you were headlining or something, maybe where you got to give people a good hospitality and just like the crowd was clicking and what's a real memorable night for you?
Man, good thing is there's so many that come to mind, and some of them are getting chances to open for people and stuff like that. Like I got to open for Cody Johnson at the Texas State Fair on the same day that OU and Texas played at the Cotton Bowl, so it was like 100,000 people there and all that stuff, which was awesome. And Cody was just as nice as could be. But, you know, the crowd wasn't there for me. They were there for Cody. But, man, I've played, you know, I've played.
Don't undersell yourself now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I had a pretty good following in Texas, but I wasn't going to bring 50,000 to a show like he was.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's him. Yeah. But, yeah, you're doing well, man.
But, man, there have been so many shows. Like, I can remember, you know, going to, you know, little venues in Hot Springs, or like playing one of our favorite places in Texas, like Love and War. It's called Love and War in Texas. Just like little bitty stages where the crowd is right up against the front of the stage, you know, or there's a little dance floor up front and everybody there that night is singing along to every word and they're up dancing to every song. Man, I can go back and watch those videos from like 2018 or whatever it was, or 2019, where the dance floor is full of people singing every word to every song. And you get to certain songs and they're screaming at you and screaming the words back at you. Like, it doesn't matter if that's just 100 people doing that. I'd take that over 1,000 people where half of them aren't paying attention every day of the week, because when people are really into it, man, it doesn't matter the size of the venue. So there have been so many places that I like. That's what I live. Don't get me wrong. I love playing the big stages. I love playing with all the lights and the crowd, and, you know, playing to a bunch of people and all that, and looking like I'm the big rock star up there playing the huge show. But give me 100, 150, 200 people that are there to see me and sing along to every song and know my songs by heart. That's what I live for. Just like the passion of the fans that really want to be there and are just there to enjoy it, and, you know, bring their friends and have a good time. Like, I'll take that. I'll take 100 of those shows. Like, that's what I live for.
Yeah, I think as a fan, that's my, you know, that's the stuff I like, because I was stationed in Texas for a little bit, and you would go to, you know, a smaller bar, and they would have somebody there that, could sing so good, and everybody's dancing, and you're getting up there, you're right there, you know, you just feel like you're actually a part of this whole experience. And man, those nights are you say for you it's awesome and memorable, but I think for those that get to be a part of that, you know, I think that those are the best nights too, because it's always cool to go to these big old concerts and stuff like that, but I don't know, there's something about being in there, and it's like, well, maybe if you got there 10 minutes later, it's full, too bad, right. You know, and
man,
something about that.
The adrenaline rush, like the energy, you know, high, if you want to call it, that I get from those shows. There's always a little bit of that after a show, no matter what venue it is. Like, I'm always like, I can't get off the stage and go right to relax and go to bed. Like, it doesn't matter if it's 2 a.m. I'm gonna be up for a couple hours. But man, the shows where all you want to do is go back and hang out with the band and drink some beers and eat and talk about the show and stay up for, you know, half the night or whatever. Those are the shows that you don't want to go to bed, because you just want to stay in that feeling, because it's just that's the best. It's just, you can't beat that.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of your songs do lend itself to like some good two-step and stuff, and so, man, I just feel like if you got into one of those, you know, smaller shows with a dance floor or something, man, that would be, that would have to be just one awesome night right there.
Man, it doesn't matter if the dance floor only holds like 8 people, man. If people are into it, that's the best part. That's really, because, you know,
they make their own dance floor.
Exactly. Like, I write songs because it's what I love to do. I like to write songs that I like, but obviously I want to write songs for people to listen to as well. But, you know, when you pour so much emotion and, you know, pour your heart and soul into a song or whatever, and so much work into it, and then you get it produced and all that, you spend so much time with it, to have people to go to a show, you know, 6 months later and have people singing that song back to you or whatever, that makes me feel so good, because something I worked so hard on and poured so much energy into an emotion, they're feeling that same energy and emotion from it.
Yeah, that's got to be a good feeling, and it's I don't know, it's weird because it's not the same. Music isn't the same as anything else. You know, it's like, I don't know, you make a product, people use it, it feels good because, you know, you're like, oh, I did all that work, it worked. But With music, you're feeling it, you're in there, you're in the moment, you're sharing that moment together, and it's like
Exactly.
a whole different level of
sharing that moment with them. And if, like you said, you make a product or whatever, and even if you were sharing that moment with that one person using it, it's not the same as sharing that moment with 100 people enjoying it at the same time or whatever. So it's just there's nothing like it, man. I mean, I could see how, like, a stand-up comedian or whatever could be that as well, because they work so hard writing their routines, and then you get that big laugh or whatever, and everybody's laughing along. Like, I can see there's definitely some, the creative side of it there, where you get that reaction from the audience. That is about the only thing I can think of that's like similar to it.
Yeah, my algorithm's been hitting hard on like comedians and stuff, and I haven't seen a lot of the Kill Tony. Have you ever seen any of that? Sorry, I'm going down a rabbit hole right now, but
I don't know if I've seen that one. I get a lot of I watch a lot of comedians in cars, so I get a lot of like Jerry Seinfeld and stuff like that. But like that, it's Matt Rife is everywhere right now on social media, so I see his stuff everywhere too. But that guy, man, he is so quick. I don't know. I've never seen somebody so quick with a comeback. I always wonder, like, man, I guess they go to these shows thinking like he's going to cross the line, and it might be me, but that's his whole shtick. But man, some of these guys are really quick with a joke. It's unreal how they write stuff like that.
He's a crowd work genius guy, and I guess he avoided. I think there's something to be learned. Like, no matter what you do, I always think there's like something you can take from it. Because I see whenever he didn't want to do social media, and he finally like, I'm going to do it. He's like, okay, so how do I do it? And he was like, he didn't want to give away his material, but he was like, I want to show people I'm funny. And so he used crowd work because that wasn't his material, and it was, on the spot. And he was like, I'll do plenty of crowd work and chop all those reels, and that's the reels. And all of a sudden, he just, he had it dialed in and blew up, but you got to be quick for that, though.
Well, and I think I saw an interview where, like, he used to be a comedic team, and one guy, his partner got hired for some festival to perform, and the guy's like, well, I perform as a duo. And like, well, we'll pay you. We're not paying that guy, but if he wants to come, he can. And so Matt was like, I don't even want to go. I don't even want to do this. Like, they're not even paying me. And he'd already edited up a video for socials, and he didn't even want to post it. He was just so dejected I didn't even get hired for this. I did all this out of my own pocket for free. My buddy's getting paid. I'm not. And he posted the video, and his buddy just said, you already edited it. Just post it. And he posted it and like left it for a day and went back, and it had like a couple 100,000 views and had taken off. So you never, that's kind of the power of social media. But at the same time, there's a lot of other people doing the same thing that can kind of bury you. So.
You got to be talented, and so, all that to say, looking at music for you, whenever you post a clip, I think like stuff like the Chief stuff and the Hog stuff, you got so many people that just want something like that, and it resonates well. And like, a million people could write, some kind of fan song to some team, and it ain't going to hit like what yours did, man. You know what I mean?
I'm also lucky that the Chiefs have been pretty successful the past few years. But yeah, so that the whole, even before, like I did a Taylor Swift parody this year, but even before that, I had a couple videos that had a couple million views on socials. And I think like the Taylor Swift one got 2 or 3, but all because you've got the Chiefs, the NFL playoffs, and Taylor Swift all together, and people getting on there to argue about it or whatever. But it's funny. But then the next one, I did a Brooks and Dunn, and it got 4 million views, and Brooks and Dunn's account like shared it on all their pages and stuff. So, man, you just never know. I would much rather.
How did you feel when you saw that, man?
Oh my gosh! When I first saw it, I was like, "That's really cool that they commented." I was like, "It's probably somebody from their social media team," which is fine, but it's still really cool because they have a huge following. And then the next day, when it had gone over a couple million views, they shared it or reposted it to every social account that they had. So all of a sudden it was like over 1 million on TikTok, and at 4 million on Instagram, and over 1 million on Facebook. So it was like, it was just shooting up everywhere. And that shot it up even more, which was so cool, because so often, like, you can tag an artist that you cover or whatever, but if they start promoting someone that covered them, that's all they're going to have in their feed, was people trying to cover their songs and get the promotion. So it was completely organic. It's not like I know anybody from Brooks and Dunn or anything. So it was just really cool to see that. And obviously I think like with the Chiefs being so good and being a topic of conversation. That was great. But man, honestly, I would much rather people watch like an original song or a music video a million times or something. But it gains me so many fans. They're fun for me. I know that they're silly. There's the whole reason it's a parody, but man, it helps me gain so many fans, and it helps all of a sudden, next time I go play a show in Kansas City or whatever, I've got more people that come to that show because they saw those videos or they saw my Chiefs song or whatever. So it's a great way for me to not only, expand, all my follower counts and all that stuff. But it's the best way for me to make fans and have them come to shows and buy tickets. Exactly.
Yeah, man. Because having like an anthem or something like that you can rock when you're heading to the stadium or something. Yeah, that's good.
It's been crazy. Every Chiefs game I've gone to the past few years, like I put out Run It Back in 2020, and they made it to the Super Bowl and lost. But it took off, and I did all these radio interviews, and now I go to a Chiefs game, and I'm just walking through like the tailgating area in the parking lot, and I can hear the song playing from other things that people have on their Chiefs playlist. It's just so crazy to me. And now I've got 3 of them, so it's like 3 original Chiefs songs that people are playing constantly. It's just like, I remember leaving a game where I may have had a little too much to drink at the game. And I'm walking through the parking lot like, get me out of here. And then there's my song playing. And I'm like slapping my face like, I'm going to have to go take pictures with these people because I'm walking right by their crew. So like, it's just it's funny the situations it puts you in, but it's really cool. And it gives me a chance, like when I go out and I tailgate and people start playing it, I can go say, even if they don't know me or have never met me before, I'll just say something quick like, man, I don't know. You probably don't know me, but I'm Blane Howard. That's my song. Thank you so much for playing it. I'm so glad you guys like it or whatever. So it's really cool.
Yeah, I guess it does help that you're not like a Commanders fan or something like that. Because
I don't know if
we're trying to be happy, but we can't be.
Yeah, I don't know if I was a Panthers fan or something like that, if it would be taken off quite as much. Sorry to my buddy Will, who's a Panthers fan, by the way.
I was like, I'm living in North Carolina right now, and so like I feel for all of them out here. But I remember
what part
last
of North
season.
Carolina are you in?
So right now I'm in the Lake Norman area. I'm in a small town called Catawba. I was in Davidson prior to that, but it's like it takes about an hour to get to Charlotte but you got to get around the lake. That's what makes it so long. But yeah.
My current guitar player is from New Bern out on the coast, and then I've got buddies. I've got buddies in the Raleigh area. I've got a friend in Charlotte, and then one of my best friends from college is from Mount Airy, which is like, what Mayberry's based off of.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's Andy Griffith town.
Yeah. Well, and actually my bass player is from right across the border in Virginia, but the nearest high school was Mount Airy High School, so that's where he went to school too. So got a lot of North Carolina connections going on right now.
Yeah. They, there's a lot to do here, but you're naming some cool areas like New Bern out near the Outer Banks and all that. Yeah, we've done a couple of family vacations out there because we're so close. And if anybody's listening, you haven't been to the Outer Banks yet, I get that it's kind of dead these days, but it's a lot that also makes it fun. But I don't think it's going to be around, getting down the road here because, when you go out there, they're just taking like truckloads and truckloads of sand to build the berms up because it's going underwater, man. Like they're moving cemeteries and stuff because they can't keep it up.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so
and it's such a beautiful area too.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's fun because like, man, you can it's like you rent a place or Airbnb or something. You got the whole beach to yourself,
right?
Essentially, and like. But you got to keep eyes out there too, because like me and my son, this was like a month and a half ago. We were out bogey boarding, screwing around because the waves are crazy, and all of a sudden I see this shark going around like not too far behind us, and I tapped him and I was like, "Yeah, let's get our eyes over here," because we're the only thing in the water other than I think there was a lot of storms and it was getting all the fish stirred up, and so I think the sharks are coming through, eating all that up,
Right.
But yeah, that's a cool area. The Raleigh Triangle. If you're anybody into sports, you got basketball heaven out there with with that the whole triangle area and everything, and then and Mount Airy. Mount Airy is just a cool town. I know they got like an Andy Griffith Museum and all kinds of stuff, and a a lot of Mayberry stuff right there. And you can see his like childhood home.
Oh yeah, it's
cool.
a great town. They've got Opie's Candy Store and Floyd's Barbershop and all that stuff. It's awesome. Small little town, but I love it. I've been there 2 or 3 times with my buddy.
Yeah, I like the little small towns out here. The one I'm in, I think it's going to explode soon because it's the whole Lake Norman area just is, but it's just like got one little strip of Old Town, and there's like a soda shop and a couple of bars that always have live music, and then a restaurant, a coffee shop. That's it. So it's pretty fun. I like it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But so I know you got a new song coming out on the 17th. So
I do.
I want to hear about that. And I mean, if you want to give us a little preview or something,
I do. I have a new song coming out May 17th. You can pre-order it starting now and pre-save it and all that stuff. But it comes out on all the streaming sites and out for downloading May 17th. And actually, right now, if you want to hear the song, probably the best way for me to preview it actually is. You can go check out the lyric video. We just posted it the week before. So you can find it on all my social media pages or YouTube. The song's called Same Dirt. Been a lot of dirt songs out in country music lately. The song was written back in 2019 with a buddy of mine here in town, great guitar player named Eric Halbig. 2019, like the 2020 election was gearing up and all that stuff, and everybody's fighting about everything. And we just wanted to write a song that kind of was positive and brought people together. So we had this idea for Same Dirt, and it's literally like the chorus says, no matter what you're doing, no matter where you're from, we don't get to make too many trips around the sun. We're all just out here living. We all love and hurt, no matter where you grew up on this earth. We all come from the same dirt. So, we all come from the same place. For the most part, as far as like physical bodies, we all end up in the same place. If you get cremated or you get buried or whatever, you end up right back in the earth. So, just a positive message for everybody out there to kind of lift spirits and remember that we're all in this together. There's a lot more that brings us together that separates us. So I encourage people to check it out. I had so much fun. Like I said, I wrote it in 2019 and everything just got pushed back so much through COVID, and my album came out in 2022. So finally got around to getting this one recorded, and man, I just really love the song and I love the way it came out. And I'm actually going to put out a new song every month for the next 5 months. So this was the 17th, and then the last Friday of every month through, so June, July, August, September, I'll have a new song coming out as well. So, and then it'll culminate with the rest of the album coming out in October. But man, it's, I love doing music. I love writing songs, and it's hard to narrow down the songs you want to put on an album sometime. I wish I had enough money to record 30 songs right now, but getting these 10 songs done, and I'm excited to get them out for people. And some of them we've been playing at live shows and stuff like that, but really excited to have Same Dirt out right now, and, encourage people to go listen to it, get a positive message for you. And remember, we all come from the same place.
Yeah, that's where I previewed it. I pulled it up on your Facebook, and I was like, man, I really like that, because it not only is it a good message, a good song, but it's also a different take on trying to say we're all human and we're all the same, and quit treating people like crap because you have different ideas, because obviously we're all humans. Nobody's perfect, and we all think differently, but that's a good thing, like quit making it to where it's got to be an argument, and
exactly.
we fight all these politicians that don't give a damn about us and all this stuff, and everybody wants to make it left and right. It ain't got to be any of that. Just share ideas and be different, and think differently. It's okay. It's good. And not just politics or religion. I mean, people will literally fight about anything. Trust me, from all the sports stuff that I post, people get on there to fight about anything. And I get that some people are just negative. Some people are doing it for just to stir the pot or whatever, but it's not healthy. Good. It's not healthy. It feels so much better to just be positive. And that's what I actually loved about some of the Chiefs videos that I did do. People would get on there and they cheer for their team, but they might say, man, that's a really funny song. I hope they lose, but it's still really funny. And 90% of the comments were all positive, and it was just nice to see that on social media. So I'm all about love, and I'm a pretty laid back guy, but man, there's so many reasons it's so easy to fight nowadays and argue and whatever, but it's so much more fun to
just be cool, hang out, love everybody. You know, you don't have to love some. You don't have to even agree with anybody to have a beer with them and have a good time. So that's kind of, and music's been bringing people together for centuries. So I'm just doing my part to keep doing it.
Well, you're doing a good job at it, and I think that song is definitely something that'll do it. But yeah, like I said, it's just a different take on that and a different way to think of it. But I like it. We're all in that same dirt.
Absolutely.
And I guess I'll bring it back to it a little bit. But we were lucky enough to grow up in a time where we didn't have social media when we were kids, and so. Right. We got to just be kids. We got to just enjoy it. Nowadays it's tough because kids are, on it so early and seeing all that negativity and stuff like that. Whereas like, if you're not thinking about being online, you can just surround yourself with good people. You ain't got to deal with it.
Exactly.
Negative over there, I go this way, but it's too easy to get sucked in. So don't get sucked in. Go listen to good songs like Same Dirt instead.
Man, I can't stress enough. I love if I go on vacation or something, I'll have my phone with me for emergencies, but like go on vacation and put your phone down if you go to the beach or whatever, leave your phone in the condo or wherever for 4 hours. Yeah. Just go to the beach without having something that you're constantly looking at. Now I'm guilty like the rest of us, come home tired end of the day. I want to look at my phone and scroll and, when I should be maybe playing in the backyard with my kids and all that. Like everybody does that, but it's so much better. I feel so much better mentally when I put the phone down.
Absolutely.
My
wife has been good at that.
Yeah, I know. I have to do social media as part of my job. Like I know that's a way to meet fans and connect with you guys, but also it's so mentally refreshing to not have that connection. So like, go outside. It's one thing I love about like when I go hunting, I might not have cell service. I just sit there in nature or whatever for 4 hours, 5 hours, whatever. So, or fishing or whatever it may be, or playing golf or anything. Just when I go outside, I go for a 30-minute walk. It's 30 minutes where I'm not looking at my phone constantly. So it's great. It's refreshing. Yeah. It's great for your mental state.
Yeah. I think if you're, when you're having those moments, when you're stressed and you're struggling a little bit mentally and you're like, man, I need a break, and it's usually a combination of a lot of things, right? But if you can put that phone away and just get out and do something that you do enjoy, like hunting, fishing, golfing, whatever, man, you'll come back refreshed. And for parents, I definitely would say, here recently, I did that with I did a little golf, and I hadn't golfed in years. And I was like, I had my phone, but I only played music on it. I set it down. I didn't look at it all. I just used it to play music. So I was by myself. And I was, stressed out. The kids have been acting up, and trying to figure out some work stuff. And I was just a little stressed. And I come back good to go, man, and just recharge for another bit. And then, I need something else. But we also got to remember the wives, they need that as well. And so, I'm definitely guilty of that. But yeah, just trying to give them time and everything like that. So today's a good day for it.
It is a good day for it, yeah.
But speaking of that, I'm going to go spend some time with mine. But man, Blane, not only do I really appreciate you coming on and taking the time today, but I also, it makes me so happy to see a fellow Arkansan just doing so well. And it seems like you've just had a good head on your shoulders. You made a lot of good decisions throughout your career that have just, combination with your talent, have really done well for you. And I hope you see continued success in that. And I hope you just keep killing it, man.
I appreciate it. I haven't made 100% good decisions for sure. They're definitely, you got to make some mistakes, got to learn somehow. So I've made some bad mistakes along the way too, but yeah, I really appreciate that, man. It's just, there's something about Arkansas, man. If I can walk anywhere, somebody's got a Razorback license plate or a shirt on, it's always, even if it's just hey, where are you from in Arkansas? I'm from, you can sit there and talk for 30 seconds to somebody. Our Arkansans, man, we stick together. Like my drummer right now, I met him my freshman year in the cafeteria because he had a Razorback shirt on. And so we just started talking. We're still friends to this day, man. So here we are, 15, 20 years later, we're still hanging out, all because he had an Arkansas shirt on in the cafeteria in college, and we hit it off. So, man, Arkansans, we stick together. So I appreciate you having me on, Larry, man. And so cool to see you have on some Arkansas greats on the show as well, man. You keep doing it, man. I love how much your show's grown in such a short amount of time. Wish you nothing but the best, man.
Hey, man, I appreciate you, and I'm going to have to get out to the show here soon and get back out around there or out in Nashville or something, but man, I appreciate you. And
if you're in Carolina, I'll work on my guitar player finding us a show out there. How about that?
Hey, do that for sure, man, and then let me know. But with that being said, woo pig.
Woo pig, indeed.
And yes, sir. And keep killing it, man.
Thank you. You too, man.
I appreciate you.
Bye.